Welcome back to New Rockstars, I'm Erik Voss, and looking ahead to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, despite the Avengers defeating Thanos and restoring reality so that Spider-Man doesn't have to get transferred to a different school, things have never actually been darker or more dangerous. That is, if you ask Doctor Strange, his use of the Time Stone in his Eye of Agamotto was crucial in Infinity War, giving the Sorcerers Supreme enough insight to know that one future exists in which they win, which inspired Tony Stark with the hope to do what had to be done. However, that good luck charm is no longer in Doctor Strange's arsenal. None of the Infinity Stones are. After using them in Infinity War, Thanos
used the stones to destroy the stones,
reducing them to atoms so that he could retire and spend more time on FarmersOnly.com. The stones they used in Endgame were from past timelines, and so that their removal wouldn't disrupt the space-time continuum and piss off the Ancient One's ghost too much, Cap returned each of them to where they were taken. So that leaves the present MCU with no usable Infinity Stones, which, shouldn't be so much of a problem because who needs something that powerful? Until you remember, the Time Stone in Eye of Agamotto was a major protection used by the sorcerers against interdimensional threats. How will Doctor Strange protect Earth without the Time Stone? The answer to this question might actually set up his next film, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And with the title as metal as that, it's gonna be a very interesting answer. Let's explore Stephen Strange's terrifyingly vulnerable home security system in this episode of Inside Marvel. Okay, let's begin with how the Time Stone was introduced to us in the MCU, contained in the Eye of Agamotto around the neck of the Ancient One. Before we knew it was one of the 6 god rocks that Thanos wanted for his gauntlet, even before we knew how useful it could be in terms of time manipulation, the Eye of Agamotto was presented as a kind of nuclear deterrent to protect against mystical threats.
While heroes like the Avengers protect the world from physical dangers, we sorcerers safeguarded against more mystical threats.
Sanctums protect the world, and we sorcerers protect the sanctums.
From what? Other dimensional beings that threaten our universe?
Like Dormammu.
Looking back on the scene, it's interesting how similar it is to the moment in Spider-Man Far From Home, in which Quentin Beck, pretending to be a warrior from another dimension, discusses the threats to Earth from what he says are interdimensional elemental monsters. A conversation, by the way, in which half of the people in the room were squirrels, pretending to be human. I know, a lot of layers there. In both cases, our vulnerable pale blue dot is presented to be under attack on a global scale. Both are visual representations of the image that Tony Stark had evoked a number of times.
I see a suit of armor around the world.
But following the death of the Ancient One, Wong ended the Doctor Strange film with a foreboding warning.
Word of the Ancient One's death will spread through the multiverse. Earth has no Sorcerers Supreme to defend it.
Now, at the time, that warning seemed to be hinting at the coming arrival of people like Thanos. But now, looking back, Thanos was terrible, but nowhere near the Lovecraftian cosmic horror that could still be lurking out there. I believe that this moment was Wong speaking for director Scott Derrickson and screenwriter C. Robert Cargill, hinting at their plans for the next Doctor Strange film, which brings us to Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange's possession of the Time Stone was the one thing keeping the multiverse in check. He used it to trap Dormammu in the Dark Dimension in an infinite time loop, a form of psychological warfare that even the most nightmarish of horrors cannot stand. Without that Time Stone, what is to stop Dormammu from making another attempt at acquiring Earth to his Dark Dimension? He would need another disciple who could follow in Caecilius' footsteps, of course, but I don't know, do we trust all of those sorcerers? Especially when one's like Mordo defected and couldn't even bring himself to show up in a battle to save the freaking universe? Your absence was noted, Mordo. Also, it's worth pointing out that Scott Derrickson recently tweeted a memory of how they shot the Dark Dimension in the first Doctor Strange film. Perhaps returning to the Dark Dimension could be something on his mind as he's shooting Multiverse of Madness, which is currently in pre-production. Now, there is a way Strange and Wong could reacquire the Time Stone. The Avengers Quantum Tunnel does remain functional. They could simply return to 2018, open a portal to Thanos' farm on the Garden, and right before he snaps him into atoms, strap him up with the Crimson Bands of Sidorak or whatever, yoink out the green one, and then peace out. Would that create more problems with the space-time continuum like the ones the Ancient One warned about? Well, yeah, probably, but our dimension would be safe, so the others, right? And that multi-dimensional chaos could be what the Multiverse of Madness is referring to. But let's assume that the Infinity Stones are things of the past, elements of the Infinity Saga, phases 1, 2, and 3 that will have no bearing on the future of the MCU Phase 4. And in that case, Doctor Strange will be left to his own skills, no Time Stone to defend Earth. Now, from a story standpoint, kind of a good thing. Strange with the Time Stone is just a bit too powerful to make any conflict a truly fair fight. Like, Infinity War kinda shied away from it, but Strange could have used that time stone to destroy Thanos in the Black Order. Sure, turning Thanos' attacks into butterflies is cool, but you know what else is cool? Using the time stone to trap Thanos' left aorta in a time loop so that it never pumps blood through his arteries and he drops dead from brain failure. I know, that sounds creepily anatomically accurate and dark. But this is Doctor Strange we're talking about. He's a surgeon. You know that brilliant mind of his is working out attacks with the specificity of a scalpel. Now, losing the time stone will force Strange to rely on a variety of other spells and artifacts that makes it so fun to watch. Mirror Dimension, Crimson Pants of Ceterac, Cloak of Levitation, Bolting Boots of Valtor, Butterflies, that weird S&M domination thing that he put Caecilius in. You know which one I'm talking about. And as warned in the final minutes of Doctor Strange, no time stone opens the door once more to Dormammu, but also other dimensional threats. Characters like Mephisto, Marvel's version of the devil. Also Nightmare, the villain from the Dream Dimension, whom Derrickson has cited as his ideal villain for the sequel. Essentially, the events of Avengers Endgame have left Earth in the MCU without its primary nuclear deterrent. And just imagine what horrors are waiting to creep in once that deterrent's removal is known. Do you prefer the MCU without the time stone or with it? Comment down below with your thoughts. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars on socials and subscribe to New Rockstars to join us as we go deeper and deeper inside Marvel. Thanks for joining me. Bye.